In this video, I'm going to give you a tour of my sewing room. Hi there and welcome to my channel. Every single Wednesday, I show you how to use your sewing machine or simple sewing tips and tricks. Just a point before I start, I have not been paid or sponsored to do this video. All opinions are my own. Okay, so I have never done a tour of my sewing space. My sewing space is 12 by 12 foot, which I consider to be quite small. Other people may think it's a big space, other people may think it is a small space. I just want to give you any tips and tricks and inspiration on how to store certain items. I'm not saying that I've actually got this down pat right now. I have changed my sewing room like so many times, so I'm hoping that I can share some of my tips, and hopefully down in the comments down below you can tell me how I can create my space a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to try and pan around my space in the best way I possibly can, but it's so small I can't get a really good angle of it. And as you guys know, I love the tealy colours, so I wanted to create my space with a lot more of them colours, and I found this gorgeous rug and also the blanket for the back of my chair there. I just find this colour so relaxing. So one of the things that was making my room a little bit messy was the fact that I had different coloured covers on all of my machines. So at the Christmas time, I decided that I was going to do all matching covers on all of my machines. So now it doesn't look as messy. I hope that kind of makes sense. I just think with the consistency of all of the covers, it kind of looks less messy. So the first thing I'm going to tackle is this pegboard right behind me. For the longest time I was thinking it was just a waste of space because I wasn't really utilising it properly, and one summer when my mum came over we decided that we were going to tackle this pegboard and make it a lot more useful for me. So let's take a closer look. So this is a complete shot of how my pegboard looks, and overall I actually like it now. I have my zippers over on the right hand side and they are all categorised under the size of the zipper, and because I order zippers offline they don't necessarily come with hooks, so the way I've hung them up is like this. So I've literally taken a bulldog clip like so, and I just clip right on the end there, and I try to keep colour pairings in exactly the same order. One of my favourite features of my pegboard are these little like buckets that we found from the dollar store. It makes it very simple to store all of your safety pins, especially when you're doing a quilt sandwich. You can just grab and go and keep on clipping, and then when you're tidying up you just throw them back into the bucket and it's easy peasy. I have one that holds my sewing needles, my chalk and some tools, and just regular stuff that I just can't hang up. I just pop into the little bins. I have a really hard time when it comes to ribbon storage. I thought this was a really neat idea, how they were, like the ribbon was wrapped around a lollipop stick or a popsicle stick, but I just don't find it to have been really that helpful, if I'm honest. I also use these bobbin storage things, which are excellent, highly recommend them. And also every sewing room should also have a colour chart, just great reference. I find some people really struggle with how to match colours up, and this is awesome. And it's just an awesome, great place to hang your scissors and your rotary cutter and your pin cushion. And I also have a lint roller you can see up there. And right at the very top, if I can reach up there, are my embroidery hoops that I've hung up by command hooks. So next up is this shelf. It's kind of, I still think it's kind of like a waste of space. I still feel as though I am not using it to its fullest potential. So in this box that my mum made me, we did this literally out of a mandarin box that you buy from the store. I have a load of my embroidery threads here. I just thought they were getting to look a lot messy on that shelf, and it was just a way to keep them looking a little bit tidier, but I'm kind of not convinced by this shelf. I still think it's letting the team down. And also I like to have fun objects in my room. Like seriously, who doesn't need a purple bear, a llama and a unicorn? Come on. I also like to have things in my room that really do inspire me. The word believe means a lot to me because I follow somebody online and his whole word is about belief. So every time I walk in my room, I just see the word believe in front of me. I did do a tutorial on how to do this and I will link it right now. So I'm just going to have a quick chat about all of my storage options. So over to the left hand side over here, many of you know that this is the IKEA cabinets. I think they're called the Alex range. They have been very useful and I will dive a bit more into them a little bit later. And also I'm very lucky to have a very talented husband, and my husband actually custom built all of this furniture you see. So the white tops are actually also from IKEA and they are so reasonable, and they are literally just kitchen tops, but I use them obviously in my sewing room. So we bought 2 of them, as you can see. And he did the shelves all underneath, and under there I have like glues and I have more thread, and I'll delve into that a little bit more later too. So this is just a continuation of my cabinet space. And also it was very, very important for me to have a countertop that was high enough at my waist and it was ergonomic enough to stand by it. So my countertop fits me at my waist. I'm trying to get a really good camera angle here so you can see, but the countertop meets my waist here, which is the perfect height for cutting. So this is another cabinet from IKEA and I'll delve a little bit more into that a bit later. But at the side I have like craft paper, I have some sewing books, and at the top there is obviously my cutting table. And I also like to have my tools in reach. I also like to have fairy lights, by the way. You'll see a lot of fairy lights in this room. Whenever I'm at this table, I like to have everything at my reach. So as you'll see behind me, I have my rulers, and I also have like a pair of scissors and my rotary cutter and some more like mini rulers and my lint roller. And also I like to have a set of pins. I got a magnetic bowl that was actually from a mechanic shop, not a sewing shop. So be mindful of where you buy these sorts of things because they're actually a little bit cheaper at other places. And how many more times do I go on about these guys? If you're a regular on my YouTube channel, my Wonder Clips, I keep them also in a little bucket because it's just handy to have them in a bucket right by you and you can just grab and go. I also have a whole host of other rulers here for quilting as well as dressmaking. I like to have them all hung up so they're easy to grab and so accessible. They're all hung up on these like command clips and I just find them so useful and they don't hurt the wall. Like, be nice to the wall. Another thing that I like to do is keep all of my scrap fabrics in colour coordinated order in the colour coordinated boxes, so it's a visual thing for me. I can just grab a bucket and go, depending on the project I'm working on and the colours that I'm requiring. However, it's getting a little bit out of hand again and I'm probably going to have to make another mammoth quilt to get rid of them. Can you see the candy in the corner? I just can't help myself. This is the area that I struggle with the very most, is how to store my fabric. Really, I should just buy what I need and then I don't have any excess. I'm starting to think maybe purchasing some storage boxes so they look a little bit neater. So on the right hand side I have all of my quilting cottons, and then it goes into like bag making, and then right at the very end it goes into like clothing that I want to make or should be making to get rid of the fabric from up there. I think I've shown you guys my thread storage before. This is all of my just regular polyester thread. I know the pink just really isn't vibing with my room, and that is one thing I'm going to have to do in the summer, is repaint these threads because they are just not working. Not my threads. The thread hanger. I am not going to paint my threads. Well, that'd be fun. I am going to paint the thread hanger. So it's going to either be teal or it's going to be white. There's my putty cat, look. Up on this top shelf is kind of like thank you cards, inspirational fun stuff, crystals. My mum is like crazy for crystals and she bought me like loads of them. Yeah, just fun stuff. Even though the doll looks a little bit creepy right now, honestly, she's not normally anyway. So the reason why I have the dolly is because I want to get into designing my own clothes, and the easiest way for me to do this is to design them on my smaller dolly, and then I'm not wasting as much fabric while I'm creating and designing. And then once I get it perfect on this little girl, then by the time I get it onto like my full size, it's going to be like less fabric waste, so I can really go to town in designing some like smaller versions of the bigger versions that I want to design. So this is the computer side of things. My husband very generously made me a laptop holder, which I love. And I need my speakers because I have to listen to music. Music is a part of me. It helps to make me feel happy. I also have my iPad on the left-hand side there. And yeah, this is just my regular computer space. And when I'm not using my computer, I will spread my machines out. So if I'm using my serger and my sewing machine, they will be out, and I have such a big space to work from. It's just great to have all of my machines available when I want to use them. So the one thing that really helps me, and this is probably personal preference because people probably can't stand writing on the outside of drawers, but to me it's been a time saver because I would put things in a drawer and I'd forget which one the drawer, like what drawer the item was in. So I actually just made labels for everything that I had in my drawer, and it's really helps me. I know it sounds totally silly, but it is a time saver. So just so you can see a close-up, that is exactly what I've done. Inside the drawers it's still a little bit messy, but at least I know what is in it. And I got like hardware items, and I got these little plastic boxes also from the dollar store. But like I said, sometimes you think that these things are going to help you and you're going to find them useful, and sometimes it's like, oh, it's like I just want to get everything organised, and the more I try, the less I seem to be like not be successful at it. It still looks a little bit messy to me. And literally the bane of my existence is ribbons. I do not know how to store them in a way that's less messy and easy to grab, and that's all I can say. I've tried, like, now I've put them into like fridge container organisers, but they still look a bit messy to me. So any suggestions, let me know what you've done. So over here I've pretty much done the same thing with this cabinet, and I've labelled it on the outside, and it's been a complete time saver. So just wrote all of these, what's actually inside, but still a little messy. When I'm sewing, I just want everything to be quick and accessible. And in this old tea caddy, I have all of my buttons. I need a lot more, I'll be honest. And also when I'm sewing items, I like to add little extra detail by adding like beads and stuff to like my pouches. So I like to have all these beads in little accessible containers. I also like to store some of my smaller quilting rulers in these like plastic pencil cases, labelled on the outside, so when I pull drawers out I can literally see what I've got. I've done the same thing with my measuring tapes and also some of my smaller items like my sewing and fabric glues. Another good thing that I did was all of my fabric labels that I put on items that I make, I put them all, like I have some glue here to stick them down, and these are the fabric labels that I make myself, and I have them all in different packs for the different kinds of item that I'm making in order to attach it onto the product. And I found that this saves so much time. It's been such a good idea for me to do. Another thing that I've done, and I've told you this before, is I stitched out every single stitch on my soprano, every single stitch it can do, because it can do just so many stitches, and I find that this is a much better reference guide than the guide that it shows on the machine, because you can literally see how it's going to stitch out. And it's another valuable time saver when it comes to your sewing, because you don't want to stop sewing every so often just to see which stitch that you like. You can just look at this reference. Highly recommend that you take the time out to do this. It's pretty much going to take you all day, and it's literally just a quilt sandwich, and you just stitch these all out for reference. Now I also purchased this voile. This was to hide the front side of all of the shelving units because it looked really messy, just like looking at all of the cans and all of the like sprays and stuff that I just want hidden. So I used this voiling, and I got like this net curtain rope stuff and hook and eye, and it was an easy quick fix. Of course, no sewing room would be without step ladders and ironing board, so it's behind the door, out of the way. So this was my attempt to tidy up my closet. Now I have a load of dressmaking patterns, so I have categorised them into like dresses, tops, crafts, skirts, etc, etc. I also have some acrylic paints, I have some ribbons, I have elastic, I have felt. I thought by putting them in these little boxes it was going to help me with the organisation of things, but I don't know if it still looks a mess or it's kind of tamed. Let's say it's a tamed mess. On the other side of the closet is my polyfill and excess batting that I have from other projects, cushion forms and stuff like that. And this is so messy, I don't know whether I should show it you, but on the left hand side is a load of fabric of clothing projects that I want to make, corsets and other outfits, and over to the right here is another organisation box, and I have put again labels on the outside to tell me what's inside, and it's just overflowing. And in this bag here, everybody should have what's in this bag. It is a cleaner accessory tool in order to attach to your vacuum to clean your sewing machine out. Everybody should be cleaning their sewing machines on a regular basis. In my sewing space, I also like to keep like positive quotes, thank you cards, just fun stuff in my room in order to keep me motivated and happy. I really think that I've shown you everything that my room has to offer. If you've noticed something that you could give me tips on, leave that in the comment down below, because I very, very appreciate it, and I love to read all of your comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss seeing me next week. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye.